Politicians are trying to use this pandemic right now to usher in an era of spending unlike anything you have ever seen before. Really and truly. We're talking about massive numbers here. This is amazing. $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there, $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. Before you know it, you're talking about some real money. We haven't done anything like this before. Think about the $3 trillion that's already been spent. We're not even talking about all the trillions of dollars being spent or printed, I should say, by the Federal Reserve. This is a lot of money. And just to keep it in perspective, remember Obama's stimulus to nowhere plan? What was that? $800 million. So not even $1 trillion. All right. So this is a lot of money. And just so you really understand, think about the size of our economy right now. It's about $21 trillion, right? The overall size of the U.S. economy. So you're talking about spending big portions of our overall size. Portions we don't have. We're already in debt to the tune of $27 trillion, which is more, right, than we make in a year. You think about that number, it's huge. And yet we're about to add more and more and more. At least if Biden has anything to say about it. Part of the problem, really and truly, is that there's nobody holding these guys accountable. There's no consequences for any of this spending. None at all. Remember, by the way, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to my podcast, because I am going to hold people accountable, and you should too, but no one wants us to. So the minute we start to talk like this, they want to shut us down. Only because I'm saying, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. We don't have this money to spend. Let's be very clear. It's up to every single one of us as individuals to keep demanding the truth. And right now, when I look at the enormity of these numbers, I get really concerned. Not for our markets. Markets love stimulus. They'll take any kind of stimulus they can get from the Fed, from Washington. And by the way, they're going to have like a perfect scenario for that, because you've got the fairy godmother of Wall Street there that's about to become the Treasury Secretary, right? So she's all about stimulus. I have a feeling this administration that's going to come in is going to be all about stimulus. But is there any incentive to actually be careful with our money? Probably not from their perspective, right? Because from their perspective, it's easier to just give all these handouts, and they're giving them to everyone. We've got a really good piece on the website about this, trishintel.com. My friend Neil Grossman, who's actually a former central banker who worked for the Norwegians and has had a legendary career here as an investor in the U.S. But anyway, he writes on this. His concern is that nobody sort of has that check and balance, right? That normal sort of approach to this, because it's not their money. Think about it. It's like if you have the ability to spend somebody else's money and it might help you get reelected, then why wouldn't you? Right? So this is the problem. And at some point, future generations, our generation, all of us are going to pay the price. And we're going to pay the price in different ways. Think about the declining U.S. dollar, right? You keep printing all that money. If you don't have real good economic fundamentals to back it up, the U.S. dollar goes down. So if you're the poor schmo saving all your money in U.S. dollars in your bank account, getting, by the way, no interest on it, because it's not paying any interest these days, you wake up and 10 years later or 20 years later, all those dollars that you had been saving, they're worth less. They buy less because the dollar depreciates in this kind of freewheeling environment. So there are a lot of reasons for us to be very focused on this right now. And I'm going to stay focused on this right now. So I hope you subscribe to the channel right here. I hope you subscribe to the podcast. I hope you go to the website, trishintel.com. I'm there reporting the news that needs to be heard. I'll see you right back here tomorrow.